my phone, internet. I only pay like what, like 140 a month, like between two lines and the internet.
Hello and welcome to the Always Sunday Football Podcast. That's right. We're doing a show in March. We're doing some off-season buzz. The players had their underwear Olympics, and now the three of us are here in our underwear. I'm joined. My name is Dave. I'm joined as I am every week by Johnny. How you doing,
Doing
Johnny?
well, doing well.
Anthony, how are you?
I'll answer for him. I be due.
Anthony, are you with us? It was
Yeah,
doing so well. Everything was fine. Oh, there he is. Are you there,
yeah.
Anthony?
It's up and down. I'm here.
I answered for you.
I'm always here,
Okay.
guys.
But I had you say I be due.
All right.
I got you, Anthony.
Yeah.
I be doing
Right, I be
good.
do.
Sometimes you just never know what I'm doing back here.
Yeah, your internet stinks. So we're going to talk. We have a bunch of stuff to talk about. It's been a while since we've gotten back together. It feels good to be back, boys. Of course, we missed Danny, but we'll catch him on the next one. We have, we have some franchise tags that went down today. So we'll touch on that real quick. We have a bunch of other items as far as coaches, players, free agents, rookies. The combine happened, so we're going to talk about a little bit of our takeaways from the combine. But I guess we'll start with the franchise players because that just happened today, and there's only two of them to talk about. One of them is offensive lineman Trey Smith from the Kansas City Chiefs, and the other one is T. Higgins. T. Higgins, franchised by the Cincinnati Bengals, staying put, at least for now. There could always be some sort of like sign and trade, but it seems like the team has been talking as though they want to sign him, Jamar Chase, and Trey Hendrickson to long-term deals. So anybody have any thoughts on T. Higgins getting franchised?
Yeah, I think they played well. They always have their rough start. You want to have him. I think it's the right thing to do strategically because you do this, and if you guys get to a rough start again, you lose the first 3 games, then you could kind of get a trade situation for him, and that's a first round pick right there. And if not, if you're starting off hot, then let's go win this thing one last shot where we have them all together.
So you don't think he's going to actually get a long-term deal done?
I don't know if they're going to be able to afford it. I don't think so. Like he's going to want, in the 20s of millions.
The cap says that they can afford it. They do have the cap space
to afford him, Chase, Burrow, all these guys.
Yes.
I don't know.
Not Burrow. Burrow is already paid, but him, Chase, and Hendrickson can all get paid. Yeah, they do have the cap space. They have one of the largest cap spaces in the league this year. So yeah, they do have the cap space to do it.
Well, I have two points real quick. Obviously, we know that the Bengals have had they're real cheap ownership. They don't like to pay their players. But the second thing,
that's the problem. Yeah.
But the second thing I want to bring out is Trey Burton and him not having the off field issues, and maybe that
Jermaine Burton.
Yeah, Jermaine Burton. And I think that the Cincinnati Bengals needed to franchise tag T. Higgins. At least he's a reliable, great number 2 wide receiver. And, Jermaine Burton might not be on the team long term.
So you don't think he's going to get a long-term deal either, John? T. Higgins?
I don't. I think they're going to try to have to figure out how to replace him because history says.
I think they're doing the same thing like with Barkley.
I guess it's both of you guys. I'm surprised. I do think he'll get a long-term deal done with the Bengals. I think it's something that Joe Burrow really wants. He's been vocal about. And because they have the cap space to do it, even though, and John's right, the ownership is notoriously stingy. But I guess, I don't know why. Maybe I'm the fool in this situation.
No, I mean, because like
that they
would
will get
think it'd be to
worth
do
it.
it. Like it's been so well, why not do it? Like we have our franchise quarterback who's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. Let's get these two pieces weapons together. We just got this young rookie running back Chase Brown. Let's spend our money on defense, which is the reason why we lost too. Get some defense players in here. So I think it's like another just like a pushback situation. Like, all right, listen, like let's just have him on the team next year, and let's deal with this next year. Let's focus on the defense. Let's lock him in for a year, and let's go from look at this next year.
I guess we'll find out. I guess I'm the hopeful that a deal gets done.
I know there was like talks of the Patriots heavily calling and involved in wanting him, and also Ayuk back end. So
every team would want him, but I mean, and there's always going to be, we talk about it every season. There's certain teams when a receiver gets available, there's certain teams that everybody connects them to right away. When a running back gets available, there's a different set of teams that always everybody connect. Dallas, and everybody's like, oh, Dallas. But so of course all those rumor mills would start the minute T. Higgins. But I just, to me, I don't see the Bengals letting him go because it's not as easy as John sort of touched on. It's not as easy to just replace a guy when you got a guy that good. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. John, you want to hit some of your items on your list?
Yeah, let's talk about
not technically news.
Yeah, so
not technically news, but still interesting.
Yeah,
items.
so let's talk about this one because Anthony, we've been talking about it in our personal chat a lot, and I want to bring it up again. Is the trade for Deebo Samuel's Washington Commanders? So, Anthony, what are your thoughts on the Deebo Samuel news of him getting traded to the Washington Commanders?
I mean, I'm taking it in and releasing it with high hopes because I own him in both of my dynasty leagues, actually. So, oh no, I don't. I own
That's
him
not
in
true. I have.
No, I own him. I own him in the dynasty, and then I just had him in another league. My bad. So when you're 6-7 leagues, get you a little messed up. But I definitely own him in dynasty because I own him in McLaurin, and I've been trying to shop them ever since. Bro, one of them. I think anytime a team goes out there and gets somebody, they want him. They're going to use him specifically for things. Give Daniels another weapon. Open up McLaurin more. I think it's a good move for them. They didn't have to give up much. And I think he's going to be a serviceable wide receiver. Who was the wide receiver too there? They were using Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus came in and started doing that. You know what I mean? Like Deebo over there will help them out tremendously.
Olamide Zacchaeus and Diami Brown were the other two guys, and both of them are free agents, unrestricted free agents this year. So they're going to have to still, even though they got Deebo, they're going to have to still add somebody, whether it's in the draft or free agency. But yeah, see, I'm a little more, I guess, bullish on the Deebo thing. He knows he was out of shape. He's been tweeting a little bit. He actually got up to 225 when people were saying, "Oh, fat Deebo, fat Deebo." He was actually fat, and he admits it. He had pneumonia. He had pneumonia last year, and that really affected him a lot. I think he's going to be sort of like renewed, sort of like this is lighting a fire under his can, where you're gonna see like balls to the wall, deep that wide receiver one, running back one type season, maybe ever again. But I think you're gonna see a really good Deebo Samuel this year. I got him in a best ball stack just yesterday or today, and I'm pretty excited about it. I think you're gonna see the best that Deebo has. He's not showing up overweight this year. He's not showing up overweight this year. He's going to show up in shape.
No, I agree. I mean, I'm trying to shop one of them. You always want to shop on the hype of the news, but like I said, you went out there and got a guy I mean, I think it's going to be good. I mean, as a Giants fan, it's another thing you got to worry about.
Yeah, I agree. All right.
What else you got, John?
All right. And news today: New York Jets released Devontae Adams. With that being said, he's finally freed from the disaster dumpster fire that is the New York Jets. What landing spot
saved them like $29 million, right?
Yeah, something. Yeah, they saved definitely a lot in cap. So
yeah, it was like a no-brainer.
Where does Devontae Adams go after this season? Like, do you see
he'll get picked up? I think probably I would think relatively soon. Chargers.
I like that one. The Chargers. What about even this? Another team that's looking for a number one. Maybe he go to New England, be a number one for Drake May.
What did I just say not 10 minutes ago about every time a wide receiver comes up, New England's going to get mentioned. Like it doesn't matter what wide receiver it is. New England is going to, what about New England?
I could see the Giants if they get Rodgers.
Well, yeah, if the Giants got Rodgers, then potentially, but Adams has already come out and said that he'd like to play on the West Coast. He'd like to, he's at the end of his career. He probably wants to play in a nice, weather. He said he'd like to play on the West Coast. That's where he went to college.
Well, it's nice to want things,
but I mean, yeah, I don't think he's necessarily a package deal with Rodgers at this point because, like you said, he's going to get a job a lot quicker than a Rodgers will. But
he can get a 1 year deal. He can get a 1 year deal anywhere.
Yeah, he's not going to want a 1 year deal. He's going to want.
I know, but I'm saying he's still that good where at a 1 year deal, 2 year deal at the right place, he can go almost anywhere still.
Yeah, he's going to want to go to a contender, so I don't think the Giants are going to really be in play for him. See, that's the thing. Like, he's going to want to go to a contender. Rodgers is probably not going to get the chance to go to a contender. So that's why I don't see them as a package deal.
Right.
So, but I also think that rules out the Giants. No Giants. No, there's a lot of if I think that his last thing is going to be, let me try to get a ring. Like, for example, LA Rams, LA Chargers, San Francisco 49ers. I don't know what other West Coast teams.
Out of those three names, I could see the Chargers over them all, just because I don't think the Rams are spending money.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what those particular money situations are, but I'm just thinking like West Coast contender teams. You know what I mean? But yeah, for me, the fit that makes the most sense is the Chargers. I didn't make that up, by the way.
Chargers, actually. That makes sense.
I read that on Twitter today. A couple people mentioned the Chargers, and I was like, wow.
Well, because Keenan Allen's a free agent, right?
Well, Keenan Allen hasn't been on the Chargers in a couple years.
Oh, Chargers. I'm sorry, Bears. Duh. They only have the rookie that was really good, right? Nobody's really else that's like.
They have McConkey, they have Quentin Johnston, but he's obviously not
led up to be what he was led up to be. And then Joshua Palmer still is probably
Palmer. I don't know if he's there, but actually, I did want to talk about an item that you kind of a little bit mentioned is our last news item that just recently came out. Is Matthew Stafford will be staying with the LA Rams, which is very good for the Rams offense. But I want to do a counter argument.
For everybody, really, in fantasy. But I want to know what the dollars.
Well, I wanted to talk about that they're planning on moving on from Cooper Kupp. So news reports have been speculating that the Rams plan on moving on from Cooper Kupp. Where does I can actually see Cooper Kupp maybe going on the cheap, maybe to the 49ers. I think that would be a nice landing spot for Cooper Kupp to finish out his career.
Yeah, I think it's the same situation like Adams, but just not as expensive, where they just let him go and they save like $10 to $20 million. He's hey, old guy, but yeah, he's another one. He can get a job somewhere, but their risk is his injury, which is which is with any wide receiver or player getting up in that age. He'll be he's 31 now, be 32 the season starts. or at least in the middle of the season. So that's tough. Where does he go? I don't think they're going to keep him as much as Stafford.
New England.
I don't think they're going to keep him as much as Stafford wants, like his buddy that's his best friend or whatever. I don't think they keep him, but where does he go? Who needs a weapon? Dallas, no.
Yeah, I'm not
got no
sure.
Money over there.
He's on the older side, so it's tougher to find a fit, especially
The
with
Raiders?
like a contending team. Sure.
I hate the way my face was frozen right there for a minute. It looked horrible. The Raiders, maybe.
I guess anything's possible.
Yeah, I don't think fitting in.
I don't have a good landing spot.
But all right, that's a wrap for my news.
No, it's not. You said you had 13 items.
Oh, this is just like items. Like this is just stuff I want to talk about. But that's like news items. So we're moving on to like topics now.
Oh yeah, let's go topics. Right. That was our news segment. Now we're just gonna do topics.
Yeah. All right. So now we're done with the news topics. Now we're moving on to just regular NFL.
These are timeless topics.
Yeah, timeless topics. Okay. So we're gonna start off, and I'm gonna throw this to Anthony. Who will be the New York Giants quarterback next year? Let me name this real quick. All right. So will it be a rookie from the upcoming draft? Will it be Sam Darnold? Will it be Jameis Winston or Aaron Rodgers out of the four?
Well, I think it's going to be 2 out of the 4. I think that at now with Stafford being done, it's on Darnold. He didn't get the franchise tag. I don't know if that means that they're not going to just work out a deal with him in another sense. But if he's free to go somewhere else, obviously they're targeting him. They have money. They could double their available cap space by restructuring contracts of Burns, Sexy Dexy, and Andrew Thomas. Those 3 players would get them $50 million. Yeah, I think you try for Sam Darnold, and if you don't like the number on where it's at and you have Rodgers, you have that option. You look at all of your options, but if they go Darnold or they go Rodgers, then in my opinion, they're still drafting a quarterback in the draft, but I think not with the first pick. If they go one of those guys, then they're going, if Travis Hunter is available at 3, they're taking Travis Hunter, and then with their second pick, taking one of these day 2 guys like a Ewers or a Dart.
So you would say, so right now you're saying that the starting quarterback will be some type of free agent. It won't be a rookie.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. Dave?
I disagree. I think it's going to be. I think the Giants are going to trade up from 3 to 1 and get Cam Ward. I think Jackson Dart is going to be a day 1 pick. He's not going to be a day 2 pick. Yeah, I think the Giants are.
Well, I think they move back into the first.
No. I think they're going to move up from 3 to 1. That's my vote is Cam Ward as the rookie is going to be their starter. For better or worse.
So you say Cam Ward alone?
They're not going to sign. Like they're not going to then have Rodgers or a Sam Darnold. Forget about it. No, they're just going to, if they're not trading up from 3 to 1 and then also signing a free agent veteran, like a big name free agent veteran. They're going to just trade up from 3 to 1.
They have to do something. They need another one. They need a backup.
Yeah, but it's just gonna be some backups.
Jameis Winston for inspirational quotes.
Nah, I think Jameis would be too much. I don't think you bring Jameis in with a rookie quarterback. I think you bring Jameis into a veteran room.
Do you pay Jameis? You pay Jameis just for those speeches, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't have that with a rookie. You can't have that with a rookie.
No.
I don't know.
You can't.
This my jellies is if they get a deal with Darnold, then they're going with a day, moving up because the Darts and the Ewers are going to move up from day 2 picks to day 1 picks naturally, and they're going to trade with the Rams.
Ewers is not going to be a day one pick.
Ewers? No, Dart.
Ewers stinks, dude.
No, Dart. They're going to.
You said Ewers.
I said the Ewers and the Darts are moving up on people's boards.
Yeah, but not Ewers. Not Ewers.
Whatever the case may be. But Dart, they're going to trade with the Rams and grab Dart in the first round. And they're going to trade a 2 and a 4.
Okay.
I'm gonna on this one. I do agree with Dave. I'm not sure about them trading up and things of that sort to the first pick, but I do think that the Giants this year start with a rookie quarterback this year. It just sounds like something the New York Giants would do. And okay. And the reason why I'm saying that is because last year I know they tried to trade up for J.J. McCarthy and they weren't able to. So I think this year in the draft, it's not out of the question that they're going to do the same thing this upcoming draft with the same GM, same coach. They missed out on their quarterback last year. This is the year that they can't miss. They got to get their quarterback, and they're going to start him week 1. So that's.
But you don't think they're going to trade up? How do they do that but not trade up?
I mean,
I don't think they're going to trade up to number 1. I do think that Tennessee will draft their quarterback for sure. I don't think it will be the first pick. So I don't think the Giants are going to trade up with Tennessee. I think they'll trade up maybe for the second or third pick.
I don't know, man. I feel like
they have the third pick.
I feel the Giants have the third pick. Yeah. You're saying Tennessee is going to take the pick and just choose first overall?
No.
Correct. Oh, yeah. The Giants have the third pick in the draft, right?
John's the one.
I think Tennessee.
I think Tennessee gets.
I think Tennessee is going to shop it.
I think Shador
will shop that pick and run it back with Will Levis.
I think Shador is. You got the personality. I don't know, man. I just think.
I think Tennessee shops that pick. They move back within the top 10. Somebody in the top 10 trades with them. They move back and they get multiple picks and a player, and they run it back with Will Levis and they start building.
They're going to trade back with the Giants. The Giants are trading up from 3 to 1 to get Cam Ward. Book it. What's your next topic, John?
I don't feel my jelly's not.
All right, next one. Another dumpster fire that I don't like talking about, but where we have to talk about it is news came out that Tyrod Taylor is the potential starter for the New York Jets this upcoming year, which would bring stability at the quarterback position. We all know that Tyrod Taylor is more of a game manager. Nothing to. But he has had injury history. So I know the Jets have a new coaching staff. They're trying to establish culture. So what are your thoughts on the New York Jets' new coach, Aaron Glenn, the direction that they're going in? Because I'm going to be super negative and biased about it. So I'm going to go with Dave, first one on the Jets, because I'm not going to say anything positive about them.
I think you got to be. You have reason to be optimistic. You have to be optimistic until they give you reason not to be. The overarching thing, if you're a longtime Jets fan, then your problem is with Woody Johnson, and that's not going away. So it's hard to be optimistic, and I understand that. But with the new coach, he seems to be, he seems to have his head on straight. He started out as a scout. I mean, he was a good player. Obviously, he was pretty good. Played for the Jets, but he also started out as a scout. So I'm optimistic that maybe the Jets actually have a good draft this year, potentially. But as far as the quarterback is concerned, we talked about this a little bit before we started. If the Jets decide to go into next year and they don't draft a quarterback in the first round, they don't, maybe they were the ones that I think they're at 7 or 8. I think they could potentially trade up with the Titans and draft a quarterback, but I don't think that that's going to be what they do. If they do go into the season with just Tyrod Taylor and Jordan Travis and then maybe another guy, I think that's a good sign for Jordan Travis. Like I thought about, I thought when they made the pick of Jordan Travis last year, that it was a savvy pick by them. because when he got injured, he was one of the front runners for the Heisman. His team was undefeated. He had a bad injury, and apparently now we're hearing that that he felt that he was being rushed back by the Jets, which is something bad organizations do, and the Jets are a bad organization. But if Jordan Travis can get straightened out, and Tyrod Taylor can hold the place for a little while, and then Jordan Travis starts to play, I think that could actually offer some hope and some optimism for Jets fans. So to me, if they go into the season with Taylor and Travis, I think that's a good sign for their future, and I would keep all eyes on Jordan Travis.
Awesome. Anthony, what are your thoughts on the shitty dumpster fire New York Jets?
I think it was a good hire. Having a person who played on the team is a plus. They've been in the atmosphere. They know what it's like to be in the New York sports media and fan base. He seems like he has a plan in mind in his head, and I agree. He has like the same as Bill Parcells, where he started off as a scout and followed in that aspect, and that's good. And like you said, like you're starting off as a scout, you're about to go into a draft, you know what to look for, and you just start building. And to come in here and assume that they're going to have a great year is like a little unreasonable. They still have a very strong foundation of a team. Defense is still pretty good and young. Who the starting quarterback is determines a lot for anybody and any team. But if they hit on the draft, and I don't know what their money is cap wise, but it looks like they just saved a bunch with Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers. So
they have space.
They have some space. So a good offseason. There's some pieces out there on both sides of the ball. So a good offseason and a good draft. It could you could be in good shape for a good rebuild. I think it's in a good direction.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm rooting for Jordan Travis. I don't root for the Jets, but I am rooting for Jordan Travis.
All right.
For sure.
Jets, prove it to me, baby. You've been breaking my heart for a long time.
There you go.
This is like it's like an abusive relationship. But we'll move on. I'd like to move on to the Pittsburgh Steelers, a very, very interesting offseason. Should the Steelers go with run it back with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, or stick to one and stick with the starter? Especially, and I do want to hold on to one little thing. Arthur Smith's scheme last year in terms of efficiency, they only had 6 interceptions last year, interestingly enough.
Well, I ultimately think that they could do the same thing and have them both there as a security blanket. You lean Fields because he's the younger guy. There you got Najee Harris. He's a free agent this year, so they lose that piece right there. So I don't know if they're just going to be Warren. They have to get something else besides George Pickens. So I don't know. I do think they go with Fields at least, and then let Russell go.
I agree. I think they're going to go with Fields and let Russ walk. Najee is leaving. They put the restricted free agent tag on Jaylen Warren, so they have the right to match another offer. And if they lose him, depending on which tender they give him, because he was undrafted. But if they give him a second round tender, if they give him a second round tender, it means that they definitely want to keep him, or they'd like to keep him. But if they lose him, then they get a second round pick in return. Long story short, Harris out, Warren might be back, but I don't think he's going to be like the lead back there, although that would make me very happy for dynasty purposes. I think they go with Fields, and I don't think you can keep both of them. I think you have to just keep one of them and let the other one go.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with all you guys on that. I think that Justin Fields fits the Arthur Smith offensive scheme. He's a running quarterback. They don't ask him to do much with throwing the football. So I do think that he can prosper, and he has won games. He looked pretty decent. He didn't turn the football over when he did start. So I think with Justin Fields having a year learning Arthur Smith's offense, that the Steelers could be, again, a playoff team with Justin Fields.
Yeah, and think about it. They lose the running back. He could fill in.
To a certain degree, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. All right, we'll move on. All right, the Las Vegas Raiders signed Pete Carroll, and now there's been obviously whispers that Russell Wilson may be reunited with Pete Carroll. But what direction should the Raiders go with? Like, what identity are they trying to do? Should they sign Russ to have some type of veteran presence, or I'm even going to throw it out there. Should the Raiders be aggressive in trying to sign maybe a Sam Darnold to have a young quarterback coming off a good season? So what are your thoughts on what the Raiders should do moving forward?
I think anybody looking for a quarterback is going to talk to Darnold. So they're for sure they're going to look at that. I mean, Sanders is an option for them.
I agree.
Between
one of the rookies coming out a free agent, what do you think the Raiders do? Do you think it would be more of a free agency or the upcoming draft? So, like, same kind of with the Giants.
I think like I said, if they can't get Darnold's their guy. I don't think it's not Rodgers, it's not Kirk Cousins. I think if you can't get a deal done, or if they can't get a deal done with Darnold, then they address it in the draft.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I guess it's a potential. I could see it as like a outside potential landing spot for Rodgers, maybe if they can't, but not as their first choice, like Anthony's saying. But yeah, I could see them drafting Shedeur if and I do think Shedeur will fall to them. They won't have to trade up to get him. But I 100% do not think that Russ will be going there. I don't think Russ and Pete Carroll have a great relationship. People, he played for him for a long time, but Pete Carroll's also the coach that got rid of Russ. People forget that. He didn't want to let Russ cook. He was like, no, Russ should not be cooking. He was right. Yeah. He was right.
I agree. I would say that this would be my take would be, I think that this is Sam Darnold's biggest landing spot. I think out of all the teams that we discussed, this is the place where he's going to land. I think it's a perfect spot for him to, number one, he's a West Coast guy. He's going to be close to, his home in California. And he's going to a franchise that, right now it's just, it can only go up. And I think Pete Carroll would be a good coach to kind of mentor him. And I think he would bring a lot of, good positives to the offense. So this would be my take on the Raiders.
That's fair.
All right.
I'm hoping for the best for Sam Darnold too. I'm rooting for Sam Darnold. I hope he gets paid and he lands in a good situation for him. I hope he doesn't get paid and then fall flat on his face. I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think he gets paid, but he might end up in a situation where the place isn't the best for him, but he got paid.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we're gonna go more now. We're gonna, instead of going to NFL, we're gonna talk a little bit more about more fantasy. All right, so this past year, obviously the Colts quarterback situation was a disaster. Should the Colts start camp this year with an open competition to challenge Anthony Richardson for the starting quarterback position?
I think they do. I think they bring in something else.
I think it's gonna be like a fake competition. They're gonna bring in somebody, but it's not gonna be anybody legit. They'll bring in Daniel Jones or something.
Gotcha. So you think it would be the Anthony Richardson at the end of the day being the starter? But in terms of fantasy wise, like, are you trusting anybody like on the Colts besides Jonathan Taylor? Like, I mean, Michael Pittman's value just like plummeted last year.
Yeah, no. I need a spike. I need a spike in juice from him so I can get rid of him.
Something.
Who? Pittman?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I heard that Anthony Richardson is working out with Josh Allen in the offseason. I think that's good. Josh Allen obviously made a lot of advances in his passing from year 1 to year 2, particularly. But Anthony Richardson, can use all the help he can get. I think that Daniel Jones makes a lot of sense for a backup because even if Richardson doesn't work out, Daniel Jones can still run the same type of offense because he's mobile. I don't have super high hopes for Indianapolis Colts. Like, I would own Jonathan Taylor, but not really anybody else, I don't think.
I agree.
Unless, like, for example, if they sign Jameis, now we're talking. Now we are talking. But again, it would be like he'd still be the backup, and you'd have to wait for Richardson to get hurt or benched for that team to be any fun.
All right. Now we're going to go a little bit more in Dynasty, and we're going to focus on the Arizona Cardinals backfield. All right. So this past year, obviously, Trey Benson getting drafted. Will Trey Benson have to wait another year to get the cowbell job in Arizona? Because James Conner is still there, and people love him, man. I mean, and James Conner's good, man. So what are your thoughts on Trey Benson owners?
One more year. One more year at least.
I mean, I think they work Benson in a little more this year, but still the James Conner show. If the wheel isn't currently broken, don't fix it.
Fair enough.
Agree.
Yeah, fair enough.
He's 29. Yeah, I believe he's 29 right now. So
getting up in age, so eventually the wheel will eventually break down. But and I believe with like a guy like James Conner, I don't know. There's two ways to think about it. Number one, he could just be like legit forever and just be one of those like Curtis Martin type guys who just keeps on going and going, like a Frank Gore type, or he could just like break down and just disappear within, like David Johnson, within the space of like a day. He just disappears off the map.
Yeah, he gets hit and then just disintegrates into air, and that's it.
I think if James Conner has another good season this year, he's just always going to be good forever. We'll be drafting him in his 19th year, and he'll rush for 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns.
Insane.
Never catch the ball.
All right, so I'm going to move on to an offense that somewhat regressed, and it wasn't for lack of talent, but more of injuries. What are your expectations of the San Francisco offense in terms of fantasy players? Like, obviously the team looks different without Debo now. What are your thoughts on the San Francisco offense? Like, are you investing in them? Like, what are your thoughts on there? Because last year, they weren't as reliable as an offense as we normally see them. They had 23 touchdowns and 16 interceptions, which is very, very high for a Kyle Shanahan offense.
2 out of their 3 main targets are getting up there in age. McCaffrey's 31,
and coming off, and now that he has that helmet.
Another injury that just didn't look good. Go across the globe and go, take other country situations, all those crazy ones. But I don't know what he's going to be like coming back. George Kittle's getting a little up there. Ayuk's going to be coming off an injury, but he should be relatively fine, but a slow start.
He might get traded.
What?
Ayuk might get traded.
Ricky Pearsall.
Yeah.
Will be the wide receiver 1 with Jenkins or whatever. Jawan Jennings.
Jawan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall would be the top 2 wide receivers. For me, I'm interested because I've been drafting best ball. I'm interested in Jennings. I'm interested in Kittle a lot. Like, to me, the guy who to own in the San Francisco offense is going to be George Kittle this year. Because like if you look at the splits with Debo, without Debo, when Debo was not there, that's when George Kittle eats, and there's no Debo anymore. So especially if it's like Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall with Kittle, you got to believe Kittle is going to eat in that situation. So I'm very interested in Kittle. Jennings actually burst onto the scene last year. He's pretty legit, and they love him in San Francisco. So I don't see him going anywhere.
Yeah, they made a good
deal. And Pearsall didn't really show anything. Yeah,
pretty cheap.
They extended him. They love him. They love him there. So he's gonna get a lot of playing time. So like, and in best ball especially, you can get like a Kittle, Jennings, Purdy. All of them are pretty cheap relative to their value, in my opinion. Especially Kittle is a great value, and Purdy is a great value. If you believe in the San Francisco offense, which John mentioned, it's usually pretty good for quarterbacks.
Usually.
And Purdy's going to be getting paid pretty soon, so he's going to be coming in with something to prove. So yeah, I'll take your San Francisco 49ers off your hands.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm a little bit more down on San Francisco this year. I may be a little bit more hesitant on wanting to invest in that offense, but something in me always says trust Kyle Shanahan. Trust the offense. He'll figure something out. So that's what I got to say about the San Francisco offense. Obviously, the talent is not what it once was, but I trust the scheme. All right, moving on.
Yeah, give me all the Kittle. Give me all the
Kittles,
baby.
All the what is it?
Kittles and bits.
Yeah. All right. I can't believe I'm saying this, but could the Bills' offense be better than they were this past year? I mean, so I want to put a context in this. Apparently, Dalton Kincaid last year was playing hurt, and therefore, people were very high in drafting him. And also in the offseason, they traded for Amari Cooper. Now he has an offseason to kind of get acclimated in the offense. So is it a possibility that the Bills' offense could be even better than they were this past year?
I think Amari Cooper is a free agent technically, so they have to either keep him or not. They have right. I think they keep James Cook. If Kincaid was battling injury, that's fine. Figure out what to do with Knox. He's sitting there. I thought they were going to do a lot of two tight end situations when they drafted Kincaid. They made a deal with Shakur, right? They just did a deal with him.
Yeah, he's extended 4 years, but so the Bills are going to be another one of those teams where, like, for example, Devontae Adams to the Bills. They're going to be a team that gets connected to a wide receiver because they need a wide receiver one. Keon Coleman's not that guy, and Shakir's a great slot receiver, but he's not your number one either. So I do agree, or I do. My answer to John is yes. I do think they can be better because if you add a number one receiver to that team, and then in my opinion, if you consolidate the running backs from three, they used three guys. They used Cook a lot last year. They used Ray Davis a lot last year, and they used Ty Johnson a lot last year. So if you take Ty Johnson out of that mix and just use Cook and Ray Davis, and then you put a number one wide receiver on that team, yeah, they would be lights out. They would be even better than they were this year. In my opinion.
Yeah, every year I drafted James Cook. That's what I was hoping for. Why are you guys taking the hot hand off and putting in Frank Gore?
No, Frank Gore or this year it was Ty Davis, Ty Johnson. What are you doing? Like, you have Ray Davis came in and showed you that he's legit. Like, he can be a legit 3-down weapon for you. You spell James Cook with Ray Davis, but no, your third down back is Ty Johnson for no reason. It's crazy. But I hope that Ray Davis gets much better at pass protection in the offseason so that way they can.
No, I'm sorry. Wasn't it who was it last year? It was last year, not this year, the year just past, the year before. It was was it Latavius Murray? No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was somebody that was just 34 years old for no reason at the goal line. They just gave it to him. I forget who it was. Just pissed me off. Sorry, I was venting.
Yeah, they need to stop that 3 running back shit. They need to knock that shit off. And then if you added a number 1 to that team, like for example, when T. Higgins was before he got tagged, you put T. Higgins on the Bills, you put Devontae Adams on the Bills, you put a number 1 on the Bills, blah 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 blah. I don't think that there's that guy out there. Like I don't necessarily. I mean, I guess I could see Devontae Adams signing there, even though it's not like a very comfortable place to play. In the cold and stuff. But if he wants to win a championship, if he wants to win a championship, then that makes a lot of sense for him to go there. But other than Devontae Adams, there's not really like a free agent receiver who you could say just plop him on there and it's a done deal. No, there's not that guy this year. Even in the draft, there isn't that guy. Even in the draft, there really isn't that guy.
You're not that guy.
All right.
Maybe I'm not. John,
we're on to our last 2 topics, and then we're going to start going into rookies and the combine. All right. So this one was a big disappointment last year, and obviously they fired their offensive coordinator this past year. Will Houston's offense bounce back? Now, last year, they were big hopes on the offense. C.J. Stroud had an amazing rookie year. They signed, Stephon Diggs. They had Tank Dell, Nico Collins. We were expecting this offense to be lights out, but the offensive line was a serious issue. And again, injuries, injuries to Diggs and Tank Dell was one. So can you see the Houston offense bouncing back this year?
Yes. Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, they gotta do something because Stephon Diggs is a free agent, and I mean, I guess I could see him go back there, but I think he got banged up, right? He had an injury this year.
It was like week 4 or 5. Nico goes down.
ACL,
right? They missed Nico for like at least a month or month and a half. Then Diggs goes down. Then Tank Dell goes down. They lost every weapon they really had. Joe Mixon killed it, so I think Joe Mixon has another good year in him. And maybe 2. He's up there in age too. But you have a healthy Nico Collins. Tank Dell injury looked pretty rough.
He's not going to play this year at all. He'll be out for all of 25.
So they're going to have to get another weapon. But I think they'll a good off season and a draft. They'll be good.
All right, awesome.
Agreed.
Awesome. All right, my quick take on the Houston offense is I do think they'll be improved, but they got to shore up that offensive line if they want to be successful, especially this upcoming draft. So I'm looking closely at Houston addressing that in free agency, especially in the draft.
There's a couple good offensive line players coming on free agency. Yeah. So March 12th, gentlemen, 8 days away from today.
Let's do it.
7 days if you want to get technical because we're in the back end. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. All right. Last but not least, Jacksonville Jaguars signed Liam Cohen, Duval. How do you see Jacksonville's offense improving from last year? Obviously, I just think that the team stopped believing in Doug Peterson. Liam Cohen, over the last 2 stops he's been, has been kind of an offensive wizard. He had, what can we make of, Trevor Lawrence? So what are your thoughts on Jacksonville's offense this year and the potential that they may move on from Christian Kirk? And there's even been whispers on moving on from Evan Ingram.
Whispers.
Anthony, your Jaguars?
Well, Brian Thomas Jr., phenomenal player. I think they're gonna be better. I do agree. Like I think Peterson, that the time was over. Time has come to get rid of him. They got a good dual running back situation there. ETN was a little banged up last year. They have a good weapon in Brian Thomas Jr., Trevor Lawrence, serviceable quarterback. He's good enough to get the job done. Yeah, you got to figure out Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram on the older side. I think they'll be better. They have a good foundation of a team. Like, defense is pretty good. The offense was pretty good. I mean, Mac Jones came in there and started just lighting it up as far as just points scored, but they just couldn't win any games.
I think it has a lot to do with coaching. I've obviously, my father-in-law is a big Jaguars fan. I went to 2 games this past year. The talent's there. I think it came down to coaching. Coaching was a big issue. And I think that if Liam Cohen can show that he's a good coach, I think Jacksonville has a shot of even winning the division. Like, don't be surprised if just took coaching to get that team to a winning formula.
Watch out, Brian Thomas Jr.
That would be impressive. But yeah, for fantasy purposes, I'm excited for Brian Thomas Jr. They should get something out of that running game. They have 2 talented backs there. But yeah, I could see them adding another weapon somewhere in there.
They say this. Well, I guess we're gonna go into it, but there's some depth at wide receiver in this draft. There's a bunch of decent wide receivers.
I wouldn't say depth. There's some wide receivers, but it's actually a pretty weak wide receiver class.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. But now going into the draft, and what one we will probably not talk about is much, because we'll probably more focus on running back and wide receiver this draft. But should any of the quarterbacks be even drafted in the first round this year? And I'm talking about like pure value.
Fantasy.
Fantasy
rookie draft.
Yeah, I'm talking about fantasy. Should you draft any of the quarterbacks? And now, if you're in a 2 quarterback league, this doesn't pertain, obviously, quarterback.
Right, standard, not super flex.
Yeah, in super flex, obviously you want to make sure you get your quarterback value, but in standard, should any of the quarterbacks be taken in the first round? I'll start off with Dave on this one.
No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's a weak quarterback class also. Like every single guy, if these guys came out last year, they'd probably be 2nd round picks, 3rd round picks. Like, it's not even a conversation. No. In fantasy, like, they're probably, depending on your team build, maybe you draft them in the 2nd round, but definitely not in the 1st round. Definitely not.
Awesome.
In my opinion.
All right, Anthony?
Do you guys agree?
I guess I would agree. I mean, it would have to be the back of the first, and it really in where it would be Cam Ward only, and then where he goes makes a difference as well. But I think there's a bunch of running backs and some wide receivers that would fill up most of the first round.
Yeah, I agree. There's just too many other players who are better for fantasy than those 2 quarterbacks, in my opinion.
Here's a question: is Travis Hunter going to be like a option?
We'll get to it.
Oh, you're stepping on John's toes here. Easy.
Sorry, John.
We're gonna get to it.
Sorry, John.
All right. So, speaking of wide receivers, let's go right to it, Anthony. We're going to segue into that. So, I was going to go running back, but you wanted to rush and do wide receivers. So let's talk about it, Anthony. All right. So I actually want to throw this off to Dave, because we've been texting back and forth about the NFL Combine. How much value do you put into the NFL Combine in terms of looking into like stats and things of that sort? Like, I just want your thought process on how you even look at the NFL Combine moving, being a fantasy owner, especially in Dynasty.
You use it as a part of the puzzle. It's a piece to the puzzle. It's good information to have, but it doesn't like make all your decisions. It looks now more and more like the marquee players that are coming out of college are not even really working out at the Combine. So
Yeah.
For one part, it kind of sucks. You have to wait till their pro day, but that's okay. It is what it is. It's also nice to be able to hear names that you might not have heard otherwise, because the lesser known guys are still working out at the combine. So you might get some names like Bashal Tootin, who you didn't even really think about before, but now you're like, oh snap, this guy put up some numbies here at the combine. Now there's always guys who show out at the combine, but then they flame out in the NFL. The Jets somehow always seem to draft a guy like that. But yeah, it's a piece to the puzzle. It's good information to have, but you shouldn't base all your decisions on what happens at the combine.
Anthony?
I agree. You use it as a little bit of a foundation and a direction into looking. I mean, these guys are playing without pads on. They're running without pads on. That makes a difference. But as a man who has jellies and has picked your Laporta and the beginning, and your Brian Thomas Jr., your few good picks where you saw a few things at the combine to make you say, okay, I want to dig a little deeper and watch some tape on this guy and see certain things. So yeah, I think it's just you get to see the hidden talents, a little bit of hidden gems, and then where they go makes a huge difference. But yeah, you just use it as a little bit of a guideline.
Awesome. I'll do my take. It's going to be a little bit different than both of you. I think the tape is already out there. College football is becoming more and more of a pro style, more of a professional sport rather than your traditional college. So I think that the work that these guys have already put in, it's already on tape. If you watch college football, like, you kind of know what these guys are. Especially if they played in bigger schools. I think that the tape shows for itself. And I would say that the combine is more of, like, take it as a grain of salt. You could kind of see maybe some elements of their game that you're like, wow, like, that person can do that. And then based on their tape, you're like, okay, like, how does that transition to the NFL in terms of speed and how fast the NFL is, things of that sort. So I would say that I more rely on the tape and what they did in college, especially what college football is now, and I use the combine more as a grain of salt.
You take it with a grain of salt, not as a grain of salt.
With a grain of salt.
Yeah, like you take it, but then you also take it with a grain of salt. Like, okay, I'm just make sure that you use a little seasoning on this because it's not exactly perfect. Yes. You don't take it as a grain. It's not like I'm taking it as a tiny little piece of information. No. We take it with a grain of salt. Like you texted it the other day, and I didn't correct you because, like, nobody likes the grammar guy, but then you said it twice. You said it twice. So I had to help out.
Appreciate that.
All right, what else you got on the rookies?
All right, so let's go into wide receivers. So I'm going to go straight into the combine. My combine, wow guy is Matthew Gold out of Texas. He had a
Golden.
So he ran a 4.29 in a 40-yard dash. It's pretty fast. Best out of all the wide receivers. And in the 10-yard split, he ran a 1.49 seconds, which is very, very, very fast. And also, I have him 5th on my board as the best wide receiver coming out of this drafts.
With a name like Golden,
Ooh.
Golden Tate. Tate. Do you remember him?
Of course.
So that would be my
Golden he had the fastest 40 time of anybody at the combine.
I think it was a corner that beat him.
Yeah, really?
I think it was a corner that beat him. Let me double check that.
Was that the fastest time of any wide receiver?
No. I think the fastest 40-yard dash was Xavier Worthy.
Oh yeah, duh. He was.
Oh, you meant of all time?
No, I meant of all the receivers that day, and I think it was.
Oh, of all the receivers? Yeah,
it was.
He's.
Yeah, Matthew Golden had the fastest time of this combine of all.
Right, and then I think he was probably second, or I think he was only second to anybody. I think it was a corner ran like 4.27 or something like that, or 4.28.
Maybe that is correct. Sorry about that.
No, but it might be though. Yeah.
But yeah, Golden helped his draft stock tremendously. He had a good combine. A couple other guys had pretty good combines.
I like
John. Who
I like there's I think his name is Jermaine from the Buckeyes. Everybody was really hype on him, but I like the second guy. I forgot his freaking name. He looks like he's
Jermaine. Are you talking about Jeremiah Smith from the Buckeyes?
Maybe, sure.
But he's not in the draft. He was only a freshman. You're talking about Emeka Egbuka?
Maybe. I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah,
somebody from the Buckeyes.
Emeka Egbuka. He was the second receiver on the Ohio State Buckeyes. He's very, very good. He was second receiver for Marv as well. Like he's just been that other guy. Like he's like your Brian Thomas character, who was like the other guy who was also very good. He might not be as good as Brian Thomas, of course.
But he just looks like a killer out there, man.
You know, he's good as hell. And I read today that people are expecting him to run in like the 4.4s, 4.3s at his pro day. So if he runs that fast, he's going to fire up draft boards too.
I agree.
For sure. Because he's already like at least he's probably a second rounder already, and he hasn't even worked out at his pro day yet. He's really good.
Yeah, so that's what I have for wide receivers. And everybody else, Isaiah Bond had a pretty good another guy out of Texas that I think had a pretty good combine was Isaiah Bond, and
he hurt himself at the combine. Bond did.
Yeah.
Why did he hurt himself, John?
I don't recall, but I did hear that he got hurt, which kind of sucks.
No, he didn't. He didn't physically get hurt. You don't know what you're talking about. He didn't physically get hurt at the combine. I'm saying he went to the combine. He was all cocky, and in the press conference before the combine, he's like, "I'm going to run probably 4.2, 4.1. I might break the record today."
Yeah.
And then he goes out and runs a 4.4. He wasn't even the fastest Texas receiver, let alone the fastest receiver at the combine. So he made himself look like a fool.
But
you better do your homework, John. You better do your homework, John. I'm owning
he meant he got butt hurt.
Yeah, he got butt hurt. But he wasn't on top of my.
No, I mean he made himself look bad. He got dirt on his face. He got mud on his face.
Correct.
He looked like a fool.
All right, and then I'm going to throw it out there. So I'm going to move a little bit to running back, and you kind of mentioned him before. Is Dave? Who is your most impressive running back in the combine?
At the combine, I mean, Tootin was impressive in that. I didn't really I saw his name and I was like, that's a crazy name. But he ran the fastest time for a running back, if I'm not mistaken.
40-yard dash.
So he's on my,
and also
he's on my radar.
He had the best vertical jump as well.
Yeah, he's a freak athlete. RJ Harvey had a pretty good combine.
Yep.
Travion Henderson, I think, had a pretty good combine as well, but we kind of expected that.
That's the guy from the Buckeyes, right?
Yes.
He's one of them. Yeah, there's two of them. There's two guys from the Buckeyes.
Yes. Okay, so I was thinking I was watching 40 times of the RBs. The second Buckeyes RB. That dude's a killer, bro.
They're both pretty badass, but you're probably thinking of Quinshon Judkins.
Yeah, killer.
Yeah. You guys are going to have to learn
I saw it in his
names.
face when he was running.
Yeah, he's also
Omarion Hampton.
I traded away all my draft picks.
Yeah.
Omarion Hampton, John, is also badass. He's going to be good too. He's probably the number 2 running back on everybody's board right now.
Yeah, I agree. And
except Anthony's.
But another guy too that had a decent combine, and his brother plays in the NFL, is Trevor Etienne out of Georgia.
Yeah.
He looks like he'll be.
Yeah, he ran like a
similar
4.44, I think,
which is decent.
Yeah,
he's a little. Small.
He ran.
I think he's a little smaller.
He ran. Yeah, he ran both of his runs. I think were the exact same.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, there's so many good running backs. Like Anthony was saying a couple times, where they end up is going to matter so much. These running backs, like there's so many good running backs, but where they end up is going to matter.
The question is, where does Genty end up? That's huge.
Yeah, he could even be a first round.
I think Genty, out of all the running backs, is like wherever he goes, I think he's just gonna. I don't know. Like I just feel like he's going to be one of those like generational talent running backs this year.
Where does he go?
What if he goes to the Saints?
He's in the first round,
right? What if he goes to the Saints? What if he goes to the Saints?
The Saints. What do they have? What pick? They have a top 10 pick.
It's maybe 12 or something like that.
But
what? I'm serious. That's a question I'm asking you guys. What if he goes to the Saints, John? Do you feel the same way?
I do.
No.
I do feel the same way.
With Kamara there.
And what's the other guy's name that they kind of just been holding on to?
Don't worry about him.
Yeah, he ain't going. He can't stay healthy.
I'm thinking Genty to Dallas.
Everybody's thinking Genty to Dallas. What did I just say before? Every running back is going to be connected to Dallas. I just literally said that. It's every fucking running back is going to be connected to Dallas.
Well, I think if he's sitting there when they're up,
they're going to be connected. That's what everybody says every single year.
You know, like everybody in the top 10, I don't see anybody choosing him.
What about the Saints? What if he goes to the Saints?
That's poop.
It is poop. There's no way you feel like, oh, that's awesome for fantasy. He's going to be a generational talent. You'd be disappointed with that, John. Disappointed.
Where do you think he goes? Where do you think he goes?
New Orleans.
That's your guess. You're locking it in.
No, I'm not locking it. But that's my guess.
I have 12 running backs that could be legit drafted in our rookie and in the rookie draft this year. 12.
There should be more than that.
No, I'm talking about like just like minimum. There should be 12 running backs drafted in.
Well, there's 36 picks. Do you think there's got to be more running backs drafted than 12? You got 12 like super nice guys. Correct. But there's more than 12.
But that's a whole round of running backs.
The Saints have the 9th pick.
9. That's what I'm saying.
Wait, guys. Tennessee, no. Cleveland, no. Giants, no. New England, no. Jacksonville, no. Raiders, no. Jets, no. Panthers, no. And then it's the Saints. If they say no, let's just say no to the Saints. Wait for this juicy one. Chicago, no. San Fran at 11.
San Fran? What are you?
San Fran at 11.
No way.
No.
They have Christian McCaffrey.
McCaffrey's dead, bro.
They're paying him all that money.
He's not alive.
They're paying him a whole lot of money to be dead. There's no way they're picking fucking Genty in the first round. No way.
Well, then if it's not the Saints, and then it's Dallas at 12. The Bears. I mean, you think the Bears do it at 10?
If I were Dallas, and again, this is just me.
Ben Johnson was there when they drafted.
They have Swift, right?
Swift. They drafted Jahmyr Gibbs when Ben Johnson was in Detroit. He could, he could be like, I want to build my running game around this guy.
Yep.
Bears. Everybody wants to just put him on Dallas. Put him on Dallas. There's at least two good teams in front of them that could pick him.
All right. So Saints obviously is the worst out of the choices. So what would be better for fantasy if he lands on the Bears or the Cowboys?
The Bears.
Cowboys.
In my opinion.
Well, I actually, John, you might be. I don't know. I think the Cowboys' offensive line is better. But long term,
I would lean Cowboys just because of that.
He's only one guy, dude. There's still 4 other guys, but long term, maybe Chicago is the right answer because the Ben Johnson factor.
So, either way, I'm definitely drafting more of where these guys get drafted for sure in terms of running back.
That matters. That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
But I mean, I would say that I'm in a very good spot with definitely getting, having my pick of the litter of the running backs, because I'm definitely looking into that.
You're actually in the best spot for that, John?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't think that there's any draft spot that any team that could draft Genty where I wouldn't pick him 101. But I think like the 102, that conversation begins with where did they get drafted?
Yep, I agree.
Right after not, the 101, I think Genty's the 101 no matter what, no matter where he gets drafted, even if he goes to the Saints, and that sucks. Still draft him 101. But the conversation at 2
for dynasty sakes, I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, same here. But you never know. But even though the Kamara's there, it'll probably suck for at least 1 year, but then Kamara won't be there that much longer. But either way, I don't see any destination turning me off to Genty as the 101. I think he's the 101 regardless.
Agreed.
All right, so we're gonna shift to wide receivers. Now I already kind of mentioned a little bit about Golden. Who is your top 5 wide receivers? Because mine have changed since the last time we spoke.
Top 5 rookies.
Top 5 rookies for wide receiver.
Not in any particular order. It's going to go McMillan, Trey Higgins. Right, Trey Harris, rather. Sorry.
Trey Harris, yeah.
Maybe Golden as my 3rd. No, yeah, Golden is the 3rd guy. Egbuka is one of them. He's top 5 for sure. And I don't know who I'll say this. Luther Burden. That would be my top 5.
Anthony?
Luther Vandross. Ibukwe guy was one that was in there for me. McMillan.
Okay.
I don't know too many of them. And that's another thing is Travis Hunter considered?
Well, that's the thing. If Travis, if Hunter was going to be just a receiver, then he would be in my top 5 also, obviously. But for fantasy purposes, right? But
like I guess that's
dynasty.
Right now, depending on who drafts him.
Somebody will draft him in the top 5, but I wouldn't. Like, he'll probably be top 5 ADP, but not me. I wouldn't draft him.
I wonder, but I guess that's dependent on the team, right? Like a certain team could make him wide receiver more dominant than he would be corner, and then another team would do reverse.
Yeah.
So you're going to say, Anthony, just real quick, Travis Hunter be your 3rd, number 3, or number 2?
He has to be in not particular order, but like
Anthony doesn't know 5 receivers.
That's another one, but I think you have to put him in there. I mean,
yeah, like strictly on talent, of course. On talent, he might be number 1. He might be number 1 on talent, but in his situation with the cornerback stuff, in fantasy, I'm not dealing with that.
Well, like fantasy purposes, or I don't know. I mean, just in general,
fantasy
I had to put him in there. Well, that would be a tough one because you don't know. Yeah.
But without not counting him because he's the wild card. Like, he would obviously be in everybody's top 5 if he was strictly a wide receiver.
Yeah.
He would also be in everybody's top 5 if he was strictly a cornerback.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So Anthony, you only got 3 guys right now.
Golden, John, Golden.
And what else we got?
Trey Harris.
Okay, awesome. All right. So who's not in my top 5 that just got bumped out is Trey Harris. He's going to be outside of my top 5, which originally he wasn't.
Really? Why?
He got bumped out. And here's why.
Right. How did he get bumped out?
Go ahead. I love this kid, Matthew Golden. Like, he's good in Texas. I think that he meets all the measurables. I don't know. I just think that he has. He's going to move up in draft.
So who's in your top 5?
So,
if Golden's in your top 5, who are your other
then we
4?
have afterwards. We have. I'm going to put number 4, Travis Hunter, like easily. Even if he, I do think that he's going to play both sides of the ball. But I just think that he's going to be so talented. You can't he's going to be good. So I'm going to put him number 4, Travis Hunter. After Travis Hunter, I'm going to go with Egbuka. After Egbuka, I'm going to go with Burton, and then afterwards, number 1, I'm going to go with Ted McMillan. I've been Ted McMillan the whole entire way. He is probably the best wide receiver in this draft. Like, in a bad school, but somehow, some way produces with lackluster quarterback play. He'll do the same at the NFL level.
I think Trey Harris is. I'm probably the highest of any of us on Trey Harris. I think he's going to be sneaky good. I think he's going to be surprising people how good he is. Probably have him.
The Bills are probably going to grab a receiver with their first pick, so that makes a difference. Like, whoever. If this guy was low, if this guy was a little lower on your board, but then goes to the Bills, he then jumps up in the board.
Yeah, like I would love for Trey Harris to get drafted by the Bills. That would be sick. To me, he can be a number 1.
Right, and then that's what I'm saying. Like right now, if he's number 5 on everybody's list, let's just say 5, 6.
It's not. He's number like 2 or 3 on my list.
Well, on your Atlas, the average person is in the 4-5 range. Let's just go there. It's more. He then jumps up to the 1-2 because he's landed on the Bills.
Sure. What else you got, John?
All right. Last talking point for today, and this should be the easy one, is rookie tight ends. I want to go with the combine. A guy that impressed me is a guy named Terrace Ferguson out of Oregon. He ran
Jake's brother.
And he ran a 4.63 second 40-yard dash, best out of all the tight ends. He was second best in the 10-yard split with 1.55 seconds, and he had the best vertical jump, which we like to see in tight end. So he's fast, he could jump. Obviously tight ends they can block. So he cracks my top 5 as a tight end. And I do think that he has great 3rd round value for guys looking for a young tight end, maybe to throw in your taxi squad if your league does have a taxi squad. I like this kid Terrence Ferguson.
I don't know too much about him, but I don't think he's in my top 5. I got Warren and Loveland. Arroyo.
Those are the 2 in the top guys that falls off.
Guys like Harold Fannin was highly touted. He was like the tight end 3, but he had a terrible combine. Gunnar Helm had a terrible combine, so he fell down draft boards as well. But like I got 3 guys that I think are still pretty good. Warren. I mean, I don't think he did anything at the combine, but he'll do his pro day. Loveland, same thing, and then Arroyo from I think Florida or Miami. Those guys are good.
Yeah, I agree.
That's all I got on tight ends.
Yeah, I would say if you're not drafting Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland, it's a crapshoot with these guys. And as we know, tight ends take a while to develop. So I'm one of those where I'm like, if I'm going to draft a tight end, it's a kind of wait and see if this guy can develop.
How many 1st round picks do you have, John? 2 or 3?
1st round picks, I have 3.
3, nice.
I have zero.
What else you got
zero.
on rookies? Anything?
No, that's it for today.
All right. Nice job. So we've pretty much touched on a lot of the rookie stuff. So let's just talk. We discussed free agents: Sam Darnold, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Fields, Daniel Jones, Jameis Winston, and then the pickings get kind of slim: Mac Jones, Joe Flacco, Jacoby Brissett, Jimmy Garoppolo,
Yeah, a bunch of backups.
Ritter, Hunt. Yeah, a bunch of backups
with
wide receivers: Chris Godwin.
No.
What?
No, I was gonna say, backups that are only interesting if the starter gets hurt.
Right. And they're certainly not interesting as far as like, okay, who signs with which team. Chris Godwin is a free agent. A lot of people are projecting him to go back to Tampa Bay because he had that bad injury. So we'll see what happens with that. We talked about Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen. Hollywood Brown is an interesting free agent receiver. He's obviously KC talked about wanting to get him back.
Isn't Hopkins too?
But he's a guy who. Well, I thought I don't know where I read this, but I could have sworn DeAndre Hopkins retired. But he's a free agent. He's not retired, apparently. I was wrong about that.
Yeah, so that's another
but he
team
is a
for
free
wide
agent.
receivers because they have Rashee Rice and then
every receiver is going to get connected to Buffalo. They're going to get connected to New England. They're going to get connected to Kansas City. It's just what happens every year. But I could see Kansas City drafting another guy this year because there's no high-end free agent. Of course, people were talking, oh, what if T. Higgins goes to Kansas City?
That'd be not fun.
So wait, Hollywood Brown, Amari Cooper, we mentioned. See, I think he's dust. I don't think he's going to be back with Buffalo. Deontay Johnson.
Oh my God! Please can somebody fix him?
Yeah, it sucks that he's so good, but he's also such an asshole. Then the Pickens. Oh, Josh Palmer, by the way, is a free agent from the Chargers. Elijah Moore, Brandon Cooks, Mike Williams, Tyler Boyd, Juju, Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton is an interesting free agent to me. He's a guy who I could see going someplace and having a good role, like doing like a Darnell Mooney thing. You know how Mooney was for the Falcons this year. He was a really great number 2, like down the field threat. I could see Darius Slayton being that guy for somebody. I'm hopeful for him. I'm rooting for Darius Slayton. Then the rest of the receivers are a little bit ugly. Nick Westbrook-Akine. You got NWI and MVS. A lot of letters. And we mentioned Diami Brown and Zacchaeus and KJ Osborne. All the Washington receivers except for Terry McLaurin, Debo, and I think Luke McCaffrey are the only remaining receivers. So they're going to have to add somebody. Running back free agents: J.K. Dobbins, Aaron Jones, Javonte Williams, Najee Harris, Nick Chubb. A lot of guys coming off injuries trying to make it happen. Nick Chubb, Javonte Williams, J.K. Dobbins. Najee is an interesting free agent running back to me. I don't think he goes back to Pittsburgh, but I'll be keeping my eye on where he lands because I feel like he's a little bit better than people give him credit for. Rico Dowdle, Madison, Kareem Hunt. So Kareem Hunt is leaving. Kansas Echo is once again by himself, but I wouldn't be surprised if Kansas City adds a running back in this draft, which would make me very sad in Dynasty. I don't have the tight ends in front of me here. Tight end, but it wasn't anybody good. Like the best tight end on the list was like Tyler Conklin. There's really no good tight ends, free agent prospects.
Oh, Juwan Johnson,
Tyler Higbee, maybe.
No, he's re-signed by. He's staying in the Rams. Yeah.
Yes. Evan Ingram.
Juwan Johnson. No, they're expected that he might be released. The two that are free agents are Juwan Johnson, Mike Gesicki, and Tyler Conklin. And Zach Ertz, but he's old as,
I hope he leaves.
Well, Zach Ertz is interesting. Yeah, me too. I hope he retires because I got Sinnott in Dynasty.
I got him in the other Dynasty.
But yeah. I think he'll be back on another 1-year deal with them. I think that's what's going to happen. I think Zach Ertz is going to just run it back with Cliff Kingsbury and Jaden Daniels.
And also Austin Cooper.
Austin Pooper.
Gerald,
Yes.
here, I got the list. Gesicki, they have it ranked this way. Gesicki, Ertz, Jawan Johnson, Tyler Conklin, Gerald Everett, Austin Pooper, Mo Alley Cox, Tommy Tremble, Stone Smart, nobody else. Hayden Hurst.
Yeah, nobody's that we're never going to draft.
And the Raiders have been talking about interested in trading Michael Mayer. We can talk about it. So the Raiders are interested in trading Michael Mayer because Brock Bowers is awesome. But people forget Michael Mayer was like a second-round pick. He was supposed to be pretty good in his own right.
An early second.
So I'm looking at Michael Mayer on our free agent list in our dynasty league. And I realized yesterday that the button wasn't clicked for people to make moves. So it was like the league had restarted, but nobody was able to make any ads, or like we could drop people obviously, but you couldn't add anybody. And so I clicked the button to add people, and I'm like, oh shit, I can add somebody now. I would like to add Michael Mayer. But then I was like, well, I feel kind of grimy because nobody else knows you can actually add people right now. What if people have been trying to add somebody and they couldn't, and blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, I reach out to Anthony and I'm like, yo, I have a moral dilemma right now. I want to pick up a guy, but I don't want to be the first person to pick up a guy because I don't want people to think that I'm being grimy. And he's like, oh, you want me to pick somebody up? I'm like, yeah, you pick somebody up first and then I'll pick somebody up. So he picks up Michael Mayer. And I'm like, you motherfucker. I'm like, you motherfucker. That's exactly who I wanted to pick up. So he's like, okay, make your move, dude. And I'm like, I have no fucking move now, you asshole, because you made the move, because you took my guy. So now Anthony has Michael Mayer on his team, and I hope that you and Michael Mayer both get syphilis.
Oh, jeez. That's rough.
Yeah. Well, it's hard out here in these streets, buddy. That's how it goes.
And also,
so John, when are you?
Go
ahead,
Anthony. You also have a lot of young running backs on your team as well.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, yep, you're right.
Oh my God! If the Bengals draft a running back, I'm going to be so sad. Also, there's so many teams that I'm just like dreading the draft.
Yeah.
Want it to come and go, but there's so many good fucking running backs coming out in this draft that like every team could draft a good running back.
I have Najee, who's like 26-ish, and Jahmyr Gibbs, but then I got Kamara. He's old as fuck. And then that's really it. And everybody else is like poopy doopy. Singletary is okay. He's like 26, but he's not going to be really relevant. Tank Bigsby? No, I traded Tank Bigsby away.
Yes.
I have Kendrick Miller. I don't have anybody good after that. It kind of falls off tremendously.
It's all right, Anthony. You won the championship, so you can run it back.
I have a team to run it back with, sure, but
before we sign off this episode, what player on your dynasty roster are you most excited about, and what dynasty player on your roster are you most scared about coming into the next season?
What I'm most excited about, player, is man, that's gonna be mine, and he's coming back this year, is Rashid Shaheed. That's what I'm excited about.
Rashid Shaheed.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Shaheed.
Who are you most scared about?
Most scared about Christian Kirk.
Okay, that's a good one. You might end up on a new team.
Yep. Anthony?
I'm most excited about Brian Thomas Jr.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm nervous. I'm nervous about a few things actually, because it's like Kyle Pitts.
Let him off your chest.
Kyle Pitts, a little nervous. What's going on? I need you to just, we need to do something here. I'm hoping that Michael Penix Jr. fixes the problem. Little nervous about Calvin Ridley's situation there with my boy Will Levis, but and then with Najee Harris, where he goes, a little nervous on that. That makes it matter. And same thing with DK Metcalf. Might be a little move there.
That could be interesting, but DK. Like I heard DK to the Packers. That would be awesome. You'd be happy about that.
Yeah.
I I don't think it's going to happen, but that would be awesome for you. The player I'm most excited about is I have a couple that I'm excited about for sure, but I would say Drake London is probably my most. If you feel better, Anthony, but like I do think that Michael Penix is going to make a difference with that team. You know, London's numbers with Penix were very good. I think Penix is legit. So I think as good as Drake London has been, I think he could be even better this year. Like I think I know he's going as like a late first round pick in best ball. He's he's going a little bit higher in drafts now. I expect him to be like a first round pick in most redraft leagues, or the late first round maybe. In most redraft leagues, I think his ceiling is even higher this year. So I'm most excited about Drake London. I'm most nervous. I'll probably say, I mean, I mentioned Chase Brown and Isaiah Pacheco, because if their teams draft running back, then I could be in trouble. Bless you. But the guy I'll say is Travis Kelce. He's coming back for another year, most likely his last year. So I'm just hopeful that I can get production from the tight end position. Maybe he just like one last hurrah and he has like one more really awesome season in him. But I'm a little nervous that he's just going to be like mid as hell all season long, just like he was this year.
Yeah, I think that's probably what's going to happen. If I were to guess, I would say that they're gonna get some weapons, or at least something, because they're losing multiple receivers, and they only have 2.
They're losing Juju and Hollywood Brown, and they might re-sign Hollywood Brown, but it's not like they're losing like valuable weapons.
No.
But I do think they add somebody.
They're losing names.
Like I said,
but yeah, I just see them as like, he's just the insurance policy. All right, listen, we need this first down. He's out there. He's gonna get his.
It's a half PPR league. I'll take those points, but I just want him to, like, he only had 3 touchdowns this year. I need him to score more touchdowns. Because like if he had more touchdowns this year, I think people would be looking at his season completely differently.
Yeah, touchdowns changes it tremendously.
800 yards, 97 catches, 800 yards, but only 3 touchdowns.
Was that included?
So like
playoffs?
that hurts. He has like no, but neither does fantasy. It's just the fantasy regular season. Fantasy. Well, I'm sorry, just like regular season as it pertains to fantasy. But 800 yards, 97 catches. Those are nice numbers for a tight end, but 3 touchdowns, that's bad. That's the least amount of touchdowns he's ever had.
Yeah, you make that 7 touchdowns, it's a different ballgame.
Yeah. Exactly. So, I'm nervous about it, but I think that it's right there. It's possible where he could have one more like resurgent season and then just go out.
Yeah, this is pretty much your last year with him being on your team, and not just being like, okay, you're just going to be on the bench now, or dropped.
No, he's just going to go from being in my starting lineup to retired.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So, all right. Is that everything?
Yeah.
That's it.
All right, boys. Nice job. Second, talk amongst yourselves.
John, I would ask you who you're drafting first overall, but we all know.
It may change depending.
You're gonna change? No, it's not. It's going to be Genty, or you're trading out, which is not going to happen.
Maybe it depends.
Maybe it depends. What, trading out of the first pick?
Yeah, it might. Depends.
Depends on where Genty goes, I guess.
Yeah, if Genty goes to a situation that's not like great, I might go with Ted McMillan first overall. So we'll see. But it depends on where it's at. So I might trade back to get more picks. So we'll figure it out. The thing is that everybody's going to want to trade up to my spot, and I just feel like people are not going to want to give up pieces to get running back. You get what I'm saying?
You never know.
It's not going to happen. I mean, I'm basing it off last year. I mean, it took forever for us to like trade picks and things of that sort. Like the only reason why people were coughing up picks or whatever is because everybody was trying to win in year one. So I just don't feel like people are going to value draft picks anymore. So
people value draft picks, John. It depends on which one, and what they're giving up for it.
Yeah. Like, except for if it's a third round draft pick, then nobody values that.
Yeah, nobody does.
Hey, you can get something in the third round. You never know.
It's true.
Oh, for sure.
All right, boys.
John,
Well
you
done.
have the first and third pick.
First and third, or first and second, something like that. But we'll iron all that.
First, third, and like fifth or something like that. Yeah.
No, first, third, and you have mine, which is the last.
The last. Okay, not too bad. Not too shabby.
Nice. Well, that's good then. So you picked twice early and then once after me.
Yep.
So you can't really screw me up too bad. I like that.
So I'm pretty much sniping all the people that sucked last year.
What do you mean, like yourself? It's your own pick.
So, I mean, no, I think the only person that's picking around, there's only one other guy, pretty much.
Oh, he means sniping the draft picks.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So what we'll do is we'll try to do another pod like after the NFL draft. So it's early March right now. The next thing we have, let's see. We can decide whether we want to do one before the draft and then after the draft. We'll talk about it offline. But
I guess Anthony that kind of depends on how many things happen. Like if there's a bunch of moves,
Right. I was about to say if the league year starts on the 12th and pro days start to happen, and the pro days are done by March 28th. That's the last pro day. So then we'll have all the rest of the information, speeds, sizes, all that good stuff. So we can discuss whether we want to do a pod before the draft, based on, like Anthony said, if other things happen, because presumably there'll be some free agents and there'll be, because that tampering period happens and then like the free agents get signed and all this other good stuff. So there might be some good moves that we want to talk about.
Might be a good trade or two.
Either way, we'll definitely get back together after the NFL draft, which is the end of April. So we got a bunch of good stuff to discuss, but that will be next time. It's always Sunday.